It's good. I guess I'll go. Welcome back to 3MFAers. My name's Caleb John Cushing. I'm an actor, writer, filmmaker. To my left is
Hi, I'm Brandon McPherson. I'm to the left in Toronto. Yeah, I'm an actor, and we're stuck in quarantine, so we're watching movies. Josh?
To Caleb's right, Joshua Stir, actor, director, mover, video game extraordinaire. Quarantine life is awesome, and I've been doing okay.
why. Before we get started on anything else, I just want to. One of my favorite K-pop stars is very sick, and I just want to wish Kim Jong-un a speedy recovery.
Jesus Christ! So what? What was the surgery? What happened there?
I don't think they released. I don't think that we have that information. But there was some sort of surgery.
They say it's cardiovascular. I thought it was cardiovascular, something with the heart.
That makes sense.
We all know it's corona.
Somebody get Dennis Rodman on the news right now. We need answers.
I need to know how Dennis Rodman feels. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I need answers.
I think he's getting his 17th face piercing.
Well, speaking of Dennis Rodman, did either of you guys watch the Michael Jordan documentary on Netflix?
No, I kind of want to.
I didn't know that was a thing.
Oh yeah, they're putting out. I think it's like 2 episodes every Monday or 1 episode, but it's amazing.
Is it on ESPN or on Netflix?
No, it's on Netflix.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it's unreal. Absolutely amazing.
Yeah, I'll check that out. I mean, is it fair? Because I know he's not necessarily always the best dude in terms of
No. It so far, I mean, it doesn't make him look like the biggest asshole in the world, but I think that's coming.
Okay. You know? Well, yeah, okay. I mean, that's fair if it's not over yet. Yeah. I just I'm not interested in watching.
Apparently there was a quote. Apparently there was a quote from him being like, "Yeah, the problem with this documentary is everybody's going to think I'm an asshole after."
So, well, I mean, he's not necessarily a saint. I mean, obviously, incredible athlete, and his feats should be praised. But as a businessman and as a human,
but it's somewhat accepted because to be that good at what you're doing, you have to be like that.
Would you say that's would you say that's a good thing?
But for something like basketball, where for a sport, yeah, I do. I think you have to be that crazy to be that good.
Yeah, there has to be a certain level of spiritual and physical dedication to you and the craft and not everything else.
Obsessive behavior. Yeah. You have to live and breathe.
Yeah, no, sure. But do you think what I'm asking is, do you think that excuses exploitation of child labor for making your sneakers? Is what I'm saying.
Well, all right, that is but at the same time, that's Nike came to him. Is Nike? It's not like he decided to open a factory.
There is a video interview when he's asked about this, when he verbatim says, "Fuck them kids."
I'm gonna have to watch that video.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean,
Caleb,
I'm
Nike,
just trying to.
Nike comes to you. They're like, "We want to make the Caleb Cushing Air Jordan. Are you down?"
Well, why would it be called the Air Jordan if it's
fine? The Air Cushing.
Yeah. All right. So how much? I'm not saying. Look, all I'm saying is that I was just asking your opinion on whether or not, we know that he's great at basketball. Tiger Woods is great at golf. O.J. Simpson was great at football. But does it I don't want to just sit through a fucking however long documentary it is glorifying a person without getting into any of the other stuff.
No. It's definitely showing him as what he is,
and then that's fine. That's all I was saying.
No, 100%. That's the whole point. Is even within that though, there's positives and negatives, right?
Yeah, well, of course.
He makes his team better, but he's an asshole to everybody on the team. So it's this it is what it is. It's really, really, really
well
done though. Amazing.
I'll for sure check it out. I mean, there's nothing else going on. So.
Yeah, and it goes into everybody. A couple of the episodes or the second episode really followed Scottie Pippen, and so it's dope.
All right, cool. Is there sorry, you can go, Josh.
No, I was just gonna talk a couple movies that I had slightly witnessed the last 24 hours.
Slightly witnessed?
Well, because 3 to 5 minutes.
I had to do because I had to do line work for the on-camera class today that I'm gonna do, and Ryan put on Paprika, Pepper.
I love that movie.
It's like a dream reality kind of anime. I forget who the director is, but
Satoshi Kon. He's incredible. I mean, he's like Miyazaki if Miyazaki was like on steroids, and I love Miyazaki.
Anyway, so like it was an interesting thing because there's like they have the technology to like for dreams, and you can go in your dream and you can remember. Like it's just weird, and then it all kind of fuses together. Is from my take of it.
Dude,
I just saw
Brandon,
the final battle.
Paprika is like Inception as an anime.
Love it.
Yeah,
how old is it?
It's 2005 or 7 or 6. One of those in that arena. No, Satoshi Kon is incredible. He made Perfect Blue and Millennium Actress and Paranoia Agent. He's amazing. I would love to talk about him one day on the podcast.
And then this morning, Ryan put in The Seventh Seal. It's a Swedish movie.
Bergman.
Yeah. I'm glad you appreciate it because I'm sitting here going, Ryan's like, this is a classic. Maybe I should invite Ryan on this podcast because apparently he and Caleb can.
Apparently, Ryan is
come on.
Deep
Ryan's
into film.
Man. Yeah, Ryan and I have had lots of great conversations about like stuff like this. Did you not like Seventh Seal, Josh?
I mean, it's been on, but I had to like shower and get ready for this, so I haven't actually sat down and like really watched it. Because he just put it on at like 10:45 this morning.
Oh, that's fair.
True.
You know, that's something I don't or whatever. As I was pretending to be a cat, you know, I was like, "Man," I was like, "You will watch The Seventh Seal," and I was like,
Seventh
"Okay,"
Seal
but then I have to get ready.
Yeah, that's fair. Seventh Seal is really good. I mean, it's Bergman, so like, you know, he like is one of the best directors to ever live. That's so cool. Yeah, I don't know. Brandon, what have you been? Or you already said with your sports.
Yeah, other than that, not a whole lot. A lot of Community.
They're talking about who said it? I forget. Somebody said that they're like pretty confident that there'll be a movie.
Yeah, so I watched them do like a panel. So I don't know when it was, but I watched it on YouTube, and Dan Harmon and Joel McHale were joking about the fact that it would be the only issue is them trying to get like Donald Glover, and they were joking that it would cost like $10 million to get him for one day.
Yeah,
and like he's so busy.
Jesus.
No, not actually. He wasn't there, but they were like, you know, it'd be so hard to get him. He's so busy, it's impossible.
Yeah, I feel like at best they can expect like a cameo, which I'm sure he would be down to do, but I don't think they'll be able to get him for like I don't think they'd be able to get him for any meaningful amount of time, you know, to like shoot actual scenes.
He seems like the most awesome dude. I'm sure he'd be down to do it.
Well, it's kind of like Robert Pattinson for a good time, you know. I'm sure, if they were like, "Hey, Community movie, like we'll work around your schedule, let us know," you know.
But that's the problem with Robert Pattinson. They could kind of shoot guerrilla style and like do his shit, like, you know what I mean. But with Community, you have like 6 other schedules to like balance, and it'd be a lot harder, I think.
And they're just all worth way more now. Everybody's on, you know, Alison Brie and you know what? I don't know.
And the others.
Gillian Jacobs. They're like both on Netflix shows. Jacobs. You know, everybody's in stuff.
And then Danny Pudi is on some stuff. What is her name?
Dude, he's in Mythic Quest.
I feel so bad about who's the other woman. She's great. And then Ken Jeong. He's
Ken Jeong is in everything. Yeah. You know, Joel McHale is and does everything these days. You know,
Attack of the Show. No, just kidding. What have I been watching?
Real quick, I've also been speeding through Avatar: Last Airbender anime.
Oh, amazing show!
It's so good.
I'm on the 3rd season, and
Book of Fire.
Like, dude, he like the blind Earthbender.
Toph.
She's the best.
She is the man. Like once she starts metal bending, like spoiler alert, like I'm just
for
like
a show that came out 15 years ago.
Wow. Like the fact that she sees with her feet, like it's just crazy. And then like there's many times Ryan will like confirm this, but like I'm always just like Appa,
I was just gonna say that. Appa's the best character. He's the best character in the show.
You know, and like with Sokka and stuff like that, it's really funny. You know what I mean? Like, and it's really good. Like, it's people actually love it because like for kids and stuff, they deal with a lot of shit.
Yeah,
you know, the whole thing with show. Like.
It's a very surprising, like, mature show for the target audience. I would say that it probably did as well as it did because it had Nickelodeon exposure, but it definitely like could have done well as well on like Adult Swim or something. Like it gets pretty heavy sometimes.
Well, and, for me, it's like the beginning of the third season is, he gets shot by the lightning and stuff like that, and then like he's kind of healing and kind of like dealing with that shit. But like as soon as that episode happened, I was like, oh fuck, what's gonna happen? Because like the cycle's like you get that all warning about the Avatar cycle, and if you die, it's like I'm totally invested, and I'm really glad
it's
glad,
so
man.
Good.
That is one of the things I love about it is that the world building is so good.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and the reason it works is because like they have rules to their bending and stuff like that. Because I was like, wait, can't you bend like plants, right? Is it earth? Is it water? But you find out that the guy was just a water bender who could bend the water and the plants. But then I'm like, well, why doesn't she? Well, because that one earth bender lady or the Earth Nation lady was giving birth, and I was like, well, why doesn't she just like water bend the birth out or whatever? You know what I mean? Like because like all humans are 80% water, so why can't she bend water in people's bodies? Like Magneto, like
because it's Nickelodeon.
Sure,
let's just show a fucking like birth.
Yeah, really, that's probably why.
No, but I guess, and meaning too that when she's fighting, like, why doesn't she just pull the water out of people's bodies, or like, you know what I mean? Like,
oh, maybe once you continue on in the show, a couple episodes in, that might get you might find the answer to that.
Maybe
no, because that doesn't happen till Korra, does it?
I don't want to spoil it for Josh. There's definitely something in the original show that addresses this.
My favorite part of the original show, though, is that Zuko is Rufio, and that's my favorite thing ever.
Dude, his hair grows fast. I like Zuko with long hair.
Yeah,
that guy's killing it in voice work.
Dude,
he does so much shit.
His sister is like a fucking psycho.
Azula is she's bad. I don't care what anybody says. I love Azula. I love the show for so many reasons. I'm glad that you're into it. And I was saying that in my opinion, I like the first season for what it is. I mean, it sets up everything really, really well. But once Toph joins in book 2 in the second season, it really like I feel like everything starts to click. Like she adds a lot to the dynamic of the group, and then like Zuko's like arc starts to get really interesting, and it just becomes better and better and better. And like the finale is incredible. I can't wait for you to get to the finale.
I'll probably get to that tonight, to be honest. So we can talk about it Monday. But like, even Zuko, I'm like, because I'm sitting here going, okay, Zuko's having an interesting path. Like for me, I'm like, okay, I'm ready for his redemption story. I'm ready for him to. He's like the makings of somebody who is all tough on side, but then he's actually a good guy, and he has this like, you know what I mean. But then he made that choice to fight the Avatar with his sister just because of fucking honor. And I was like, Zuko, what are you doing? I don't know.
Anyway. I love that they did like actual research into different like cultures and martial arts to like really inform this the bending, and it's just so fucking good. I could geek out on it forever.
The animation for all the fighting is so well done.
Well, and
that's
then
that Nickelodeon budget,
It makes me think about the movie too, and just like how it's just they completely just missed the mark on everything. You know what I mean? Like I told Ryan at the end of the first season, I was like, okay, I can see like M. Night Shyamalan, like if you were to take the biggest paintbrush and do the biggest, most vague strokes of a season of a show, that's what you got in the movie. You know what I mean? Like they got these major plot points, sure, for like a 2-hour movie, but then there's like so much more.
Makes sense about that. Where it's like, okay, you're going to make an adaptation of what is already an English cartoon. The main character's name that they say 8,000 times is Aang. You inexplicably decide to call him Ong for the entire movie.
They also did that to. They did that to. They called him Sokka as well instead of Sokka.
Why? This isn't a
make it its own.
I know.
I don't know.
It was that weird. It was that weird time where like they were just like, let's take all the iconography and like the big plot beats and then make everybody white and make it like boring. Like I don't know. It was just so crazy. Like I can't believe it. Just seems so like misguided and like ill-informed. And it must have just been studios like trying to make sure they get their money back. I have no idea what went on because it is a fucking mess. It's one of the worst movies I've ever seen in like a totally real way. Like nothing about it is good.
It doesn't make any sense. None of it makes any sense.
Yeah.
And like the only person to survive it was Dev Patel, and I'm glad because he's good, and that wasn't his fault. But everybody else, their fucking careers died.
Even in that, he's doing his thing. No, M. Night Shyamalan, man, did the ultimate Shyamalan twist with the last movie.
I didn't really like Glass.
Yeah, but doing a trilogy over 20 years is a pretty sick twist.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I enjoy Split for what it is.
You're talking about Glass
and Split.
I didn't really like Glass. I was bummed. I wanted to like Glass because I agree.
I just saw Split, and I love the acting in Split. So
Split, James McAvoy's the king.
Split's my favorite of the three.
Interesting. I don't know. Yeah. I haven't seen it. I've seen like Unbreakable a bunch of times, but maybe Split might be better. Yeah, the only thing I wanted to say.
What is better? Go ahead.
Well, no, have you guys, because I saw a bunch of movies this week, but I only didn't want to talk about them necessarily. But I finished this show because Hulu is partnered with FX now, so they have like all of their shit on Hulu, all the FX shows. Cool. So yeah, I'm like catching up on Atlanta, which is great, and like all that stuff.
Oh, yeah.
But there was this mini series that just ended called Devs. Have you guys seen any of it?
I don't think so.
I've heard of it. I think Ryan's watched a couple episodes.
Well, yeah, it's Alex Garland who has like written like a bunch of amazing movies and has directed Ex Machina and Annihilation from the past couple of years, which are like really, really good. And so it was like an 8-episode thing from him. And if you guys haven't like seen it, I won't like get into it, but I would be curious to know what you guys think. It's really like interesting. It's a good show and I liked it. It's about like, I don't know. Nick Offerman plays like Elon Musk, Richard Branson kind of character. So that's all you need to know.
Oh, sweet. Wow. I'm into that.
I would watch the pilot and see what you guys think.
You have Hulu?
I do.
Then you should watch Letterkenny.
Yeah, I know. You've been telling me about that shit forever.
Letterkenny is one of the best shows made, period.
If it doesn't inspire you to just write whatever you want and have us film it,
right?
Like, I don't know.
Josh, you watched it, right?
I've watched a few episodes, yeah, and I kind of I do laugh and I chuckle, but then I'm also like, why am I watching this?
Because it's fucking amazing.
Yeah, I don't know. I've seen like, you showed me like, I don't know, maybe it was before it was like a TV show and they were just like doing stuff on the internet. Like you've shown me a bunch of like small, like short videos.
Yeah.
And I totally see like the appeal to it.
I think it's one of those shows that you have to kind of get used to the characters and the humor before it really kind of blossoms into.
Well, they're just doing absolutely their own thing in every way, and it's I love that.
I mean, I haven't seen the show, but it just seems to me like how It's Always Sunny kind of like revolutionized like the idea of the sitcom, and there was just so many shows that tried to like do that, and this seems like another one of those. But I haven't like checked it out to like give it an honest opinion.
That's very much how it feels. Like the way it's written is totally different than anything I've ever seen.
It's all pickup lines. That's what I think, anyway.
Pickup lines?
Like just like one-liners, right? Like
one-liners.
The first episode that I watched.
Those are different things.
Yeah, those are very different things.
But in terms of like, I guess I should reframe that as like the bartender lady in the first episode that I watched or whatever. She's like talking to the guys at the bar, and it's all just one like greasy pickup line after another.
Yeah, that's her bit. Yeah.
Okay.
It definitely. I mean, it evolves for sure. The show changes a lot as it goes, but it's just very interestingly written. I love it. I think it's fucking. I think it's the funniest show on TV.
How many
They're
seasons?
They're like 7 now, but it's a weird thing. Yeah, but the episodes are super short.
Yeah, they're like super short. Long.
They're like 20 minutes, and there's only like 6 episodes a season.
Oh, so they're doing a British style. Okay.
Yeah, it was because it got bought up or made, I think, by Bell, which is like one of the big 2 Canadian media companies and like television companies and all that. So it went right to their streaming service. It was the flagship show for their streaming service, which is called Crave here. So they started pumping them out.
Oh yeah, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. And they've done a bunch of specials, like Easter specials, Christmas specials, Halloween special, that kind of stuff. So
definitely, like, been hearing about it for like a few years now. So that makes sense.
Do they have a musical episode?
I don't think they do have a musical episode.
Dayman, Nightman.
That being said, what about this crazy ass movie we had to watch?
I was gonna say, speaking of writing,
it was my turn, and I recommended Hausu, which is a 1977 like art pop experimental comedy horror movie from Japan. What did you guys think of Hausu?
It made me feel like I could make a movie whenever, just for fun.
That's good though.
Yeah,
I definitely
it just there's a bunch of shit that I've never seen anybody try before in a movie, and it was pretty wild, I'd say.
Yeah,
I couldn't help but laugh at certain parts. I thought it was amusing. I thought it was the perfect length for what it was. If it gone on too much longer, I'd have been like, okay, I'm done. But
yeah,
I think it went on the perfect length, and it was good, entertaining hour and 20 minutes, or more hour and a half, because it's like I think it's like 88 minutes. But
just yeah, so
I'm glad that you made that shit. You made that distinction.
That's my general.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I mean, I would love to talk about like the actual movie for a little bit and then get into the backstory behind it, which I think is like just as, if not more interesting. But yeah, totally. I agree with you that like it is literally the exact length to make it good. Like if it was any longer, I feel like it would have definitely overstayed its welcome. But it's just like just the right amount of time to like appreciate it for what it is.
Exactly.
Yeah, any longer and it would have been a nightmare.
It was a nightmare. It was a horror.
It was a horror comedy.
Oh yeah, I was terrified.
I mean, obviously, like I wasn't like scared at all. But I don't know. It's like it's like a haunted house movie. It's a bunch of like high schoolers that go to this house, and there's like a ghost vampire thing that kills them one by one. And there's like lots of blood and gore, and you know, there's a disembodied head that bites the girl's ass, and then there's like,
yeah, their fake limbs are the best. They keep reusing the same like fake arm over and over again.
Yeah, for sure. I love the piano. Is probably like the best like
and how did that
stuff for that?
Yeah. Piano kill was dope. It was a good kill.
I don't know. Mattress Attack.
Oh,
Mattress Attack was fun. I mean, it was all good. We didn't really see what happened to the Mac, but then we saw her head at the end.
Well, I mean, assume she was headless.
Headless horseman.
So,
yeah, you go,
Kung
Brandon.
Fu was the best character.
Yes, I think, and Josh and I were talking earlier. Like that, Kung Fu is the best, and this is like my 5th time watching this movie, and I always get a little bummed like when she dies, because she's the most fun, and like I think they take advantage of her as a character to like do some like crazy like editing stuff, like whenever she's like doing her Kung Fu thing, and that's like visually when it's like really interesting is when she's like going like doing her like Kung Fu moves. I don't know, I think she's great. She's such a good character.
Yeah, and 70 song.
Yes.
Yeah, and 70% of the movie is her just running from one room to the next room, being like, okay, I'll check.
Yeah.
And everybody else freaking out.
She's definitely like a bad
running
bitch.
from one place to another. Yeah.
Well, the fact that even after she gets eaten by the lamp, her leg still fights its way out.
Right.
Hits the cat. You know what I mean? Like she's committed.
Oh yeah. She also kills the cat with one kick.
Yeah, she just like uses her.
Wins.
Yeah. Even in death, she can't be stopped. And then the trigger with all the blood and everything, and yeah, it is. It's this very weird tone where like I am laughing a lot, and a lot of it is definitely intentional, but then it becomes this sort of like sincere, kind of somber thing by the end of it. And I wasn't when I first watched it, I wasn't expecting to be kind of like, oh, like that's really sad and cute.
I thought that her stepmom was going to be evil, like just 1,000%. I thought she was going to be a succubus or something.
Yeah, but then she just caught on fire, and then the movie ended.
Well, I thought there was going to be some Shyamalan-style twist.
Oh god, I would have hated that if that happened. No, I loved the. Let's go back to to the beginning. One of the things I like, in terms of like the style and stuff, I liked the juxtaposition of like the projections or like the videos overlaid with like the real life kind of acting stuff. there's a lot of that, and then there's also a lot of things that like he made you focus on certain things, right? So, for instance, like with Mr. Toby or Tobo or something, whoever the teacher is.
Togo, I think.
Yeah.
Tobo, like who's
Togo
a
Sensei.
student. I don't know. Anyway, all the girls are like all sad because they can't go to like the house or whatever, and then all of a sudden blacks out and it's just a circle on Gorgeous, which draws your focus of her being sad and kind of depressed or whatever. But there's a lot of things of like making sure that you paid attention to what he thought you needed to pay attention to, in case you would miss it. So I don't know. I thought that was very interesting. And then like
yes,
the conversations with the heads with trees in the background, and like it was almost like a movie full of glamour shots. I think you know what I mean.
I mean, it's definitely very creative in terms of presentation. Like, there's lots of different like techniques being used at once. I love all of the scenes where like I didn't mind that you could tell that they had these like painted backdrops because I thought they were so beautiful. Like, it was such like a distinct visual like identity to have these like matte paintings, and then these like you were saying, they have like overlays of video on like still images, and then they had like brief little animated sequences, and they had like puppets and like really like obvious like fake blood, and like it's just very creative.
The train overlay with cartoon animation was the best one, because that's super smart. Definitely saved them a shit ton of money, and it totally worked for me. I was like, oh, that's awesome.
Like,
now we're like it felt like the Yellow Submarine, the Beatles movie.
Oh yeah, for sure. No, definitely. I think like they took advantage of having like a not that great budget and like turned it into an aesthetic choice, which I think was really smart and kind of saved it from being like bad.
Yeah.
Well.
What do you mean? Would you say this is a bad movie?
No, because it's entertaining. You know what I mean?
I'm saying, yeah.
But like, would you say The Room's a bad movie?
I would say that The Room is a bad movie because it lacks self-awareness.
Yeah, okay, yeah, that's fair. At least this seems to have that self-awareness for sure.
I think it absolutely does. I think there's a lot of intentionality in House. I would say that like with something like The Room, like I definitely think it's funny, and I have paid money to go see it in a theater, and I would again because it's funny. But if you listen to Tommy Wiseau and like read up about him, he has no idea that we're laughing at him. You know what I mean?
Right.
He genuinely thinks that movie is incredible and that he's like an auteur. But this movie, I think House, that is like, it definitely knows what it is. It has like a really good grasp of its tone, and it's got such a creative like way to convey information. Like, I think everything's very purposeful, Yeah.
I mean, especially in a hour and 20-minute movie, you don't have a lot of time.
They really speed through, like, like you meet this girl and you understand that she's really good friends, and then you understand that she has a dad, and then her mom's dead, and she doesn't want like to have a stepmom, so she's gonna go like it's just like bam, 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 bam.
Well, and the way they do it is so interesting. They do it like an anime. Like, you meet all of these girls, and they all have their own little like intro and nickname, and it's like, it feels like a
Mac.
Yeah, it feels like the pilot episode of an anime.
Where you're meeting all of the cute girls, and then they all fucking horribly die.
Oh god, I did. It's just funny how Mac is always like the fat one. I'm like, she's fat. Yeah, probably for their,
That's what I was thinking about. It's like, I know that it was like the 70s, and also it's Japan, so like there's like the double like whatever you got going on. But she's really like not fat at all. She got like a round face, and that's it.
I feel like that was probably the choice, though, right? On purpose, was to not, it's better this way.
Yeah, sure.
She just eats a lot. That's like her whole, and I like that, like, even though they all have these like archetypes, like they have the nicknames and they're very clearly like trying to fit into a stereotype, but they still each have like nuance to them. Like, you have like Mac and Sweet, which are like the first two to die, and they kind of are a little more one-dimensional. But they're like, the performances are so like, they're so like charismatic, and like, like I don't mind. And then the rest of the girls all have like, oh, sorry, what?
But how did Sweet die?
It was the mattress girl, and she got turned into that doll.
Right. Yeah.
We don't like see that happen, but she gets like crushed by the mattresses in the closet, and then the other girls are like, "Oh, these are her panties. They stink," and then they just like move on.
Yeah, super weird, man.
Yeah, I mean it's bizarre for sure. I'm not saying that it's like
absolutely bizarre,
the greatest movie ever made or anything.
One of my favorite shots was actually with the grandma when because what I like about her characters or the aunt. Was that every time she would kill somebody, she would get like, instead of she can walk, she can dance, you know what I mean? She starts eating again. But then there's a shot of it was like a kind of a bird's eye view up from the ceiling to the kitchen. And she does this thing where she opens the fridge and she backs up into it, and all of a sudden she's on the ceiling beam and looks into the camera. I thought it was really, really neat. I was like, okay, I like that shot. That was a good shot.
Then Fantasy is like, she went in the fridge and nobody believes her. And then she has the aunt has that little she turns to the camera and smiles. She's aware that she's being observed by an omniscient viewer, and she's having fun. And then she dances with the skeleton, and it's fun. You know?
Montage, yeah.
Yeah, of her just and then the cat's playing the piano, and he goes meow. Meow, meow, meow. I love the music.
Was eating a hand and stuff.
Yeah.
That was definitely the most insane part of the movie.
That was more insane than the ending with all the blood and.
Yeah, totally.
Okay.
Because the ending, it's an ending. You know what I mean?
Sure.
We're already past the climax. I'm less intrigued at this point. That was right in the middle of it. That was just
definitely,
holy shit.
Yeah, it's definitely a oh, this is kind of what we're doing now. I understand what we're going for moment.
Yeah.
You mean you didn't get that with the chandelier dropping crystals and kung fu
True, that was really good.
Chandelier, and then one of the things killing a lizard, and it's just
yeah, was that supposed to mean something? The thing killing the lizard?
Kung Fu's just the best.
Kung Fu's just a badass?
Yeah, she's a fucking bad bitch. I love that scene with her chopping wood too, and then the logs all try to get her, and she's just bah, bah, bah. Wow, that was weird. Anyway, I'll go back inside now.
What about the fact that they just get off the train and just start wandering through the woods? Is that a common thing? You just start wandering to where you're supposed to go and hope that you find it?
And they did.
Yeah, it was. I liked that a lot. It felt very, felt very Avatar: The Last Airbender. You're just wandering around for your next adventure.
Yeah, we'll eventually get to where we're going.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
I thought it was weird that once Kung Fu fought the burning logs and stuff, that she just lost her pants and then she never put them on again. She was just running around her
she put the apron back on or whatever. Remember, it flew down and then she tied it back on.
Oh, gotcha.
The skirt, I think it was, not an apron. Yeah, I mean, again, it's Japan is already a sexually repressed society, and it was the 70s, so there was a little there was some nudity, and it was a little weird. Yeah, but you just gotta get past that as quickly as possible. Hey, fuck off.
I see now.
Yeah, you're right. That's the only reason I like it.
Why is there a schoolgirl fantasy movie going on right now?
Listen, buddy. No, I like it for the special effects.
Yes, me too.
I also really love music.
The music,
high quality special effects.
So I don't. This could be a complete long shot, but the melody before, with the piano, is totally the beginning of "Welcome to the Black Parade" by My Chemical Romance.
Oh my god!
A variation off it.
I totally hear what you're saying for sure, but I don't.
So you think House stole it from My Chemical Romance?
That House traveled forward in time to the year 2009.
I'm saying that My Chemical Romance took that piano melody, and used it at the beginning of their song.
I could see that.
Yeah, that's probably exactly what happened. They're probably fuck, we need to fucking think of this. We need the one big song. We need an anthem for our album. What are we gonna do?
That's Gerard Way, right?
Gerard Way, yeah. And you know what's actually interesting is that he was a cartoonist before he was a musician.
Dude, he wrote Umbrella Academy.
Yeah, but he worked for Cartoon Network before he even did music, is what I'm saying. So maybe he was aware of this movie, and maybe he totally did bite that melody. That's, who knows? We could have just exposed something.
Did you
I mean, so he wrote a bunch of he wrote all the music for Umbrella Academy because he wrote the comic books.
Yeah, but
do yourself a favor, just listen to the first part of the song, like the beginning of the song, and just see if you guys agree. If you don't, that's fine. You know,
I can hear it in my head. I see what you're saying for sure. They do sound like pretty similar. I hadn't thought of that until you brought it up.
I like it.
No, because the whole time I'm like, where did I hear this before?
Yeah.
Anyway, it's fun. Okay, so I want to get in. Can we get into a little bit of like the creation of it? Just because
sure. I mean, I don't know, Brandon. How did you watch this film?
I had to subscribe to the Criterion Collection.
Oh yes, I hope that you enjoy. I love the channel. It's got so much great shit on it. But that's kind of how this movie kind of became popularized. I watched it on the Criterion channel as well.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to say it was like people didn't know, like nobody knew about it, but it was definitely like pretty far under the radar until like 2009 when the Criterion Collection kind of released it. They kind of remastered it, and it got like way more popular, and now it's kind of like a really big cult movie, and mostly a lot of people like kind of it's one of those things that it's like, oh, have you seen this? It's the craziest thing ever, you know?
Yeah, it makes it interesting because Ryan has the DVD, because he has a series of the whatever collection DVDs, and well, now that you guys have the channel, maybe I'll go through some of those DVDs and put them on the list. But it was interesting because we were like, well, why is it a class? Why does this collection have this movie in their catalog? You know, and it definitely gave me a feel of like, oh, this must have been a cult classic or had a cult following because it didn't do very well in Japan.
Not at all.
and then in America it did well. But all I know is that it made me want to watch Evil Dead. That's all.
That's fair. No, I think this film has like a really interesting backstory. So basically, Toho, which is the studio that made this movie, and they're kind of like the Japanese equivalent of like a Universal or a Warner Brothers, like a very, very big studio. They saw the success of Jaws, and they were like, all right, we want one. Like, we want a big horror movie. No, but listen, and then so, which I think is really funny, because imagine like you hiring somebody, hey, make Jaws, and like, okay, and they turn this in, and they're like, oh, what
you get a house?
You get a house. But no,
this is not what we asked you for.
The writer-director, who passed away, and that's like the reason I wanted to talk about this now. So Nobuhiko Obayashi, he was kind of struggling to like do that. Like, he's like, oh, what's scary? And like, if you go into the Criterion supplements, which is like why I love Criterion, they have like lots of special features, and that kind of like help inform a viewing of the movie. He talks about how he just would talk to his like infant daughter and be like, hey, what's like scary? And she would be like, oh, like this, like, you know, and he would just kind of write that in and be like, yeah, that makes sense. And that's awesome. and I love that because it comes from an honest place, and so much of the movie is about like childhood innocence and wonder and purity kind of being tested in like a post-war period.
Well, yeah, I mean,
and I think that there's
wouldn't it be scary if like my reflection attacked me out of the mirror? When you know what I mean? Like, you get everything that she mentioned, because there's an interview with her older self or whatever. Obviously, this like back into like what 2010, I think the interview was.
Yeah, 2010.
And so she essentially everything that happened in the movie was just kind of ideas that she had as a girl, like that would be scary, right? But the reasoning he went to his daughter, though, it was interesting, was because he says like adults don't have this like imagination, right? Like, if you say, hey, there's this really great hit in America about a shark attack, you know, adults would think, oh, let's do one about bears or like a bear attack.
Yeah.
When it's like, well, like, let's think outside the box. You know what I mean? Like, and so his daughter was like, well, let's do a horror movie, but like the house eats the girl. You know what I mean? Like, and he's like, oh, that's very creative. Let's do it. You know, so it was really interesting to think that, like, yeah, I mean, we're raised up, we sensitize ourselves, whatever, and our imagination gets smaller and smaller. For those that are in like corporate America or whatever, business people, they don't think outside the box. And so you go to the children, and then you get a movie like this.
Yeah, it captures that sense of imagination and like the way that young people perceive the world, and I think that kind of plays into the visual like representation and editing style of the movie. I think it's very interesting, and I don't know anyone else. Sorry, what, Brandon?
I mean, had he done Bear Jaws, it might have been very successful. Just saying.
Bear Jaws.
I also wouldn't mind Bear Jaws for sure. That's right? An interesting idea.
1977 version of Bear Jaws.
Or let's just like add like two animals together like an Avatar and do like a bear shark. You know,
or a bear riding a shark.
Ooh, there you go. Now we're cooking with gas. Well, the Asylum already does that shit. They have like Sharktopus and like all that stuff.
Yeah.
So you can look that up now if you want. But no, I don't know. I just think that is really interesting, Josh. That how he's like, yeah, like I just went to my little daughter and it was like, what freaks you out? And she's like, oh, like I would hate it if I opened the closet and a mattress fell on me. He's like, done, it's in the fucking movie.
Well, no, she said that actually happened to her because there's like futon mattresses at his house that they would go for the summer, and she's always afraid that they would like fall on her, like because the weight and stuff be crushed underneath it, you know.
Yeah, for sure.
So, what would be terrifying if I had a friend named Mac? Just all of that.
Fat fucking friend who ate all the food.
Oh, what a ridiculous movie.
I love it. It's fun. Things are allowed to be fun.
It was fun.
I also like to say that, like, so the co-writer, I forget the other guy's name, he classifies it as a fantasy movie about young girls.
Which it totally is.
He doesn't consider it a horror movie, you know?
I didn't really consider it a horror movie either.
I mean, I you know, that's why it's, you know, it's labeled as a horror comedy, because like you have like a haunted house movie with like a piano eating a girl and like all these people like a ghost, you know what I mean? But it's also got a very lighthearted tone. Like,
yeah, it's like does Bewitched count as a horror movie? Because it has the same feel to me.
I would say so.
You know what I
mean? No, but it's like Cabin in the Woods.
Yeah.
It's like an October movie.
Yes. It's a Valentine's Day and October movie.
A Valentine's Day movie for you, huh?
Yeah.
How about there's the constant wind that flows around to the stepmom with her scarf.
Yeah, I love that. She's just kind of this like angelic figure, and they just had a fan like a foot off camera. You know, they just had like a fan pointed at her.
She's like shaking my hand.
I still thought she was going to murder everybody.
Definitely seems like that's what they're setting up, I'm glad they didn't do it though.
Yeah, I'm glad they decided to put the guy as a pile of bananas instead.
Oh yeah. Yeah, he finally makes it there and then just gets turned into a giant pile of bananas with a hat.
Yeah, he like, I don't know, he has that like he has that interaction with like the watermelon guy, and then he just like passes out in his car and then turns into like a banana pile, which is great. It's like, you know, a sort of representation of like, it's supposed to be very phallic, and you know,
this whole movie makes way more sense now after you said that thing about the daughter. Hey, what would be scary to happen to this guy if he turned into a bunch of bananas? Okay, done. Like this whole movie makes 1,000 times more sense now.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely like a big part of it. But I also think that, you know, the movie should get a lot of credit for taking that concept and then layering it into with this like what at the time was a very topical and contemporary sort of like discussion on innocence. Like you have so much like virginal purity imagery, like with the white, and you know, they're all like all unmarried women will kind of meet their demise in this house, and I don't know. I think it's really interesting, and all the World War II stuff, like Nobuhiko Obayashi. It was obviously very well entertaining and done. You have like the girls commenting over it and like editorializing, and it's very fun. But the director, it was from Hiroshima and like had friends who died in the blast.
Jesus.
Yeah, he said he had a lot of close friends that all died.
That definitely kind of informs what's happening on screen, I think. And it's just very interesting, and I don't know any other movie like this that's doing that kind of shit. And it's crazy it hasn't been tried to like remade or something. Like this seems like the perfect fodder for like some fucking dumb like American executive to be like, we'll just make it Like, we'll remake it again.
that was definitely the most surprising thing, was that I a lot of those shots I'd never seen before, or seen copied, or seen, and maybe that's fair because they weren't great, but they were interesting.
I don't know. I think that they were. I think that like, I think this movie is a great example of like creating something special under severe limitations.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Yeah,
I wouldn't say they're not great.
No, some of the shots I'm saying, but that's part of the fun for this movie. Like the beginning when you have those like bubble shots with the background behind it, that's just a very odd thing to do.
Of course.
But it works for this movie. I don't know that it would work for any other movie, but it was fun for this one. You're like, what is happening here?
Yeah, they definitely have this like energy going through it, and it like keeps going, and it doesn't slow down until the very end. And I love that about it. But I agree, Brandon, that if I saw that kind of shit in like an episode of Breaking Bad or whatever, I would think it was fucking dumb.
Yeah. You're like, hold on a second, what are we doing? What's going on with this editing? Are we looking through a kaleidoscope? What's happening?
If like Walter White and Jesse Pinkman were like skipping through like the woods on their way to make meth.
I'd like to bring up their teacher, the female teacher, where at the beginning you find out that she's supposed to be getting married to the guy, and it's an arranged marriage. It seems like they're going to set up some sort of B story. Never ever see her again. That's it. Just that one scene, and then you never see her again. Why?
Definitely, like with how few speaking characters there are, I think you kind of have this expectation that all of them will come into play at some point later. But I think, she's just kind of like, I mean, it's a thematic thing. Like they're skipping away and she's just like shaking her head. It's like, like summer vacation, like to be young, like the young, innocent, like women, I think it's just kind of setting that up.
Oh, and then, you crazy kids.
Yeah, kind of. And then you have this expectation of what this guy is like, because they like all these like young girls. Yeah, they all have like a crush on teacher. And he's like sort of this like bumbling fucking idiot and like has no idea what he's doing. And then he fucking I love when he gets his like ass stuck in the bucket and like that little kid is like drumming on it.
Oh Jesus.
It's very whimsical.
Or the
it's
scene
very,
where
like,
he's just eating ramen.
I love that scene. Fucking Naruto vibes. Just eating ramen.
When I cut out, I actually went into this whole thing about, the going in, right, with the style, and with the reason it worked was because to do a movie like this, you can't just sprinkle it in, you can't do it half-assed, you have to do it fully, 100% for the whole duration of the movie, right? You can't, like, it'd be different if, like, it opened up with this, like, glamour shot, memory, fuzzy border kind of discussion between these two girls, and then just realistic the rest of the way. You know what I mean? Like, it'd been like, okay, that's weird. But because
you have to commit to it. Yeah. Yeah, I think it was very successful. I mean, obviously not in terms of like a box office gross, because I don't think this movie did very well in when it released in Japan at all. But you can't always judge a movie's quality by that stuff.
Did this guy make more movies after?
Oh, dude, like 100%. Like he's very prolific. He was making stuff right up until he died.
Cool.
And I haven't dove into his filmography. Like I haven't seen a lot of it, but everything that I have seen is just as fucking bizarre. He was like a commercial director, and so I was
just gonna say, like in Japan they had like bigger. He was doing short films, like 1 or 2 minute short films with his friends, and then commercials are like, hey, you do short films, right? Do you want to do a commercial? And I guess they had big budgets back then for commercials.
Yeah, I mean, he came from an advertising background, and I think what's interesting is I can totally see that when I'm watching House. Like I see the sensibilities and the style and the editing style and the in-your-face like attitude, and I think it works in something like this. I haven't seen everything he's ever done, so I don't know if it's like something that's carried through with him till the end. But definitely here, his first feature.
If you tried to play this movie coy and subtle, it would have been so bad.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying, is I'm surprised there hasn't been like a gritty American like horror reboot or whatever, because that's what you would expect from a movie like this. I totally do.
I mean, there's kind of been a bunch of them, right? Like Haunting on Hill House, any movie like that is really the same. But that's a
totally different thing.
Yeah, but it's taking the same concept seriously, a haunted house.
Yeah, but this movie didn't invent the haunted house. Haunting of Hill House is based off of a Shirley Jackson, her novel, which came before this. This is turning the haunted house trope in on itself, like this movie is. But I'm saying, like, how like we did like like America did like, like The Grudge and The Ring and like all this shit. Right. And like, I'm surprised they haven't done that to this.
I feel like what's happened is there probably is things like it, but they're kids' movies now. You know what I mean? Like, it's like a movie you'll get like Jack Black to be the lead in.
Like Goosebumps.
Yeah, exactly. Like Goosebumps.
Yeah, exactly. That's
exactly.
Fair.
Exactly.
That's totally
exactly.
Fair.
I feel like that's what that is now. You know what I mean?
I think that's fair. Yeah, that actually makes a lot of sense. I get Goosebumps vibes from this for sure.
Yeah, like just that kind of like fun and like, okay, well, we're clearly not making Bear Jaws. We're making a kids movie.
I kind of want to make Bear Jaws now.
Dude, I think it'd be great.
I will happily lend my writing talents, newly discovered writing talents for Bear Jaws.
All right, buddy.
I will happily play the
Caleb.
bear.
I love you, Caleb.
You too, Josh. Wait, Brandon, you don't want to play the bear shark, just the bear?
No, yeah, I'm gonna play the bear. Who gets to ride a shark?
Okay, I see. I was thinking
Commander Berenstein Bear.
Berenstain Bear, I think you mean.
What's the bear?
Trying to avoid a lawsuit.
Oh, I see.
what's the bear's name? The Earth King. Bonzi? Or
Bonzo? Something?
Bonzo?
I can't remember.
I don't remember. It's been a minute.
Can't remember either.
Well, I guess we're all fucking frauds. I don't know. I want to keep talking about House, but I don't have any. I think I've exhausted like all my intelligent things I have to say about it. Right. I love how. I love the piano. I already said that, but I think it bears repeating. Like that's to me is the peak of like the visual insanity of what happens. Like when she's playing and like the kind of the keyboard lights up and then her fingers get bit off and then for some reason she keeps playing and the piano just like eats her alive. I think that shit's amazing.
Right. And then the shot of the fingers playing without the body.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so cool.
I think what was impressive to me is just the use of technology for the time, like with the different blue screens and like it was obviously like they did their best to like edit around and like you could obviously see through the trees that there were blue screen behind it, but it's like I didn't care because it was all part of the thing, the style that, you know.
Yeah. Well, the one special effects thing that did fuck me up was when her face fell off. I thought that was really well done.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm talking about? I think it was gorgeous and like her face is she's looking in the mirror and her face like falls off into fire or whatever and it cracks. Yeah. I was like, I thought that was amazing. Especially for the time.
Well, there were definitely yeah.
I was gonna say she looked beautiful in the when she finally became like the ghost or like her mom, like the wedding outfit. I thought it was gorgeous.
Uh-huh.
You know,
and her name was gorgeous.
Yeah. Who's your? Is it? Are we all on the same page that our favorite character is Kung Fu?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
If I'm not,
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, hands down. Like she's always ready. That's the biggest thing. I was like, bitch, I want her on my team.
I need her on my team. I need her on my quarantine.
Yeah.
Bro, she should be the president. She's just kicking everybody's ass, running around, first one in every room. She's not worried about shit.
No, and even when she like does her like high kick across the room, gets eaten by the lamp, her leg still keeps going and hits the. That was just incredible.
Oh, you know what? I had this thought last night. Every time that she like started fighting and shit, it reminded me of an episode of Power Rangers.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah, every time.
Which came from Japan, so that makes sense. The Super Sentai stuff. That's definitely on purpose.
Yeah, just that like the speeding up of the clips and everything when they're jumping and doing flips in the air.
Or like the cat and the green eyes. Ding 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 ding. Oh no.
Yeah, I love that. I loved that there was a clear indication of when something supernatural was happening.
Yeah.
It made it seem like even though the movie is like fucking crazy, like it had rules. Speaking of like what we were talking about with Avatar, like there are rules that it follows and it does make sense if you like think about it, but you also don't have to think about it because it's also just fucking crazy and entertaining.
Right. Well, Caleb, would you say that that's kind of like one of the major rules when you're coming up with your world or you're coming up with you had like for people to follow along and to really accept it, you have to be steadfast in those rules.
I think consistency is key. Like you just have to make sure you don't break things you've already established unless like obviously, you know, there are exceptions, but in general, yeah, I think like consistency is the thing, right?
Yeah. I agree. I mean, I feel like that gets harder and harder the more you write though, right?
I mean, it depends. Like it's obviously like really impossible to always like predict everything that you're gonna do in your story. Like it's hard to set everything up all the time. But in general, I think like a good writer can kind of like make sure that they don't like totally fucking upend their worlds that they create by just making sure that everything more or less stays in the same guidelines. I mean, like the worst offenders are something like Dragon Ball, where like every arc he like, you know, Toriyama just like pulled shit out of his ass, and it's like, oh, now they're fucking from space, now they're aliens, now there's a Super Saiyan, oh, now there's Super Saiyan 2, you know, that shit. It gets like annoying and stupid, and like, oh, people are dead, but they can come back to life, but only sometimes.
That
agree, shit is crazy.
But Super Saiyan God looks really cool, so I'm into it.
Yeah.
Because the blue hair is super cool.
I'm not,
Ultra
Instinct, I'm not saying
I fucks with it. I fucks with it.
Okay. I agree that like it's Dragon Ball's fun. I'm not knocking. It's one of my favorite shows, but like it's just an example. Like
Avatar 100%
have that problem. Avatar's always like, this is what you can do. This is what you can't do. If you can do this, you're like Mega Jesus, and he couldn't do it for a long time until he could. So like,
that's such an anime thing. Is that leveling up issue where every season it's like, okay, well, now you got to get stronger. You know?
Yeah, they call it power scaling.
Yeah,
and it definitely is a huge fucking problem in anime. But anime was a mistake anyway. So
well, I don't know what that means.
You haven't seen that? Oh, it's a meme. I'll link it to you later.
Okay.
It would take too long to explain right now, but I don't know. Fuck, I just love this movie, and thank you guys for being on board and giving it a shot. I appreciate that.
Dude, it was fun. And then like now I have the Criterion subscription, so that's nice.
I was gonna recommend you guys get it, but I didn't want to kind of impose it on you if you didn't want to spend the money. But I find it totally worth it. There's so much amazing shit on there.
Yeah. No, I'm stoked. It's gonna be good to go back and watch through some shit.
Yeah. Oh yeah. There's some stuff I definitely want to talk about for sure. Did either of you guys have any final thoughts?
Yeah. It's the best episode of Power Rangers I've ever seen.
Okay, that's fair.
No, I was gonna say like it was fun to watch a movie that was just entertaining and really didn't take itself seriously, but in the same sense was serious for its own world, and like that you can just have fun making movies, you know?
Yeah. It really was just fun. It was just an enjoyable watch.
Yeah, this is one of those movies that like I can watch pretty much like anytime. It's great at like a party. It's great during like Halloween season. It's a lot of fun. It's very inspiring to me as well, because I think like it shows what you can do with like limited resources and money if you're creative, you know?
Yeah,
definitely. I would like to introduce a segment of the podcast called Random Verse from the Bible.
Thank you.
I happen to have the Holy Bible in front of me.
What is happening?
I don't want to do this. I don't know. I can't tell if you're joking, but I'm not on
board.
From Joshua chapter 24, verse 1. And Joshua gathered all the tribes of Israel to Shechem and called for the elders of Israel and for their heads and for their judges and for their officers, and they presented themselves before God. Just some words of wisdom.
I'm not on board. Sorry. Thank you for sharing, but let's never do that again. You fucking weirdo.
Okay.
I'm Jewish,
buddy. Yeah, Brandon's Jewish, and he gets the final say.
What are we watching next week?
We have to rate House first. I'll start. It's obvious. I think this movie is a 5 out of 5. I think it's just way too entertaining and creative to like not love it for me.
All right. I mean, I think that's insane. So you're giving, just to be fair, you're giving this a higher score than you did The Godfather.
Well, I mean, I guess
I just want to be black and white. I just want to be black and white here.
Well, here's what I'm saying. I don't know how you guys rate things. I don't know your personal like metrics for whatever, but I don't think there's such a thing as like objectivity in art and art criticism. Like things affect you emotionally in different ways. Like I would say that like The Godfather is an incredibly well-made movie. It's very like, I mean, I don't know. It's also like, I don't think of it a lot. Like I don't think about it all the time. I don't walk away from it like necessarily emotionally affected. And this is something that like, I don't know, it's so unique and I love it. And I hope that like more people talk about it and discover it. And celebrate it because I just think it's special.
5 out of 5 from Caleb.
5, whatever.
I'm gonna give it a 3 out of 5.
Damn.
Yeah. Wow. I enjoyed it, but
I was gonna give it a 4. I give it a 4 cats. 4 cats.
4 cats.
All right, that's fair. Still a higher, still better than the Danish Girl. That's all I cared about.
Did you guys see that it was like Prince Day or something like a few days ago? Like
Jesus
people were commemorating Prince and all these Purple Rain like Dove pictures of him, and I'm sitting there going, God, if only we were doing a podcast today.
Hey, Purple Rain, great song. Terrible, terrible, terrible movie.
Yeah.
It blows my mind. The whole concept behind it just really, really fucks up my brain.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
That's all right.
It's okay though. I mean, we will never escape it. But we never have to watch it again.
That's true. We can say that we watched it, and that's good enough.
Yeah, exactly. So, now we know what it is. All right, what do we got next?
What do we have next? Well, going from this lighthearted ditty, I actually want to request. I haven't seen it, like a lot of the things on my list. Moonlight.
Ooh, okay.
I haven't watched that either.
I've been looking for a reason to rewatch that, so yeah, I'm definitely down.
I got some critical acclaims, like a lot of themes that I'd like to talk about, and we'll see. I don't know how I'm gonna like it, so yeah. I feel like it'd be interesting.
Well, won Best Picture, right?
It did. It won. It won the Oscar. That was the year that the most
hilarious way ever.
They said that La La Land won, and then the guy had to come on stage, be like, no, we're not racist.
The video of Ryan Gosling on stage is the best. He's just laughing. He's just sitting there chuckling with a smile on.
Yeah, well, I mean, you have to have a sense of humor about something like that,
Well, there's an interview with him where he's like, I was just looking at the crowd, and it looked like somebody had died. And he's like, it's just an Oscar.
Yeah.
Right. So, we'll watch some Moonlight. It's on Netflix right now, so.
Yeah. No, that's great. That's everywhere.
All right, awesome. Cool. Thanks, Josh.
Anything else? Any other general thoughts for the crowd before we depart?
Drink water. Wash your hands. Stay safe and healthy.
Safe. Yeah. Don't go to the gym if they reopen in your area.
Don't fucking insane. Do it. You can work out at home. Do push-ups and sit-ups. Right. That's all you need to do.
Yeah. Well. So, all right, boys. That was 3M Affairs on House.
Oh,
all right. All right. Peace, y'all.
Bye-bye.